We are back live for another week, another episode of Paisley and Burger Betting right here on X, YouTube, Spotify, breaking down college football. Mr. Paisley, another week here to preview. Might be one of the greatest weeks we've had in a long time. I know week one was great. I know we always have a couple weeks every year that tend to be better than any, but this is just quite a slate here we have in front of us.
Yeah, this is definitely the big one that everyone was waiting for. A lot of big games starting at noon, 3:30, 7. So it'll be a nice day to had some plans in the afternoon this Saturday. Had to cancel them for the sake of college football. So we are looking forward to 12 to 14 hours, just all day football here. And a little plug to the Ryder Cup, too, if you're a golf fan. That's going on this weekend. So tons of action here. Really excited to dive into these games in case we got a lot of good ones.
Yeah, ton of great games. And yeah, forgot about the Ryder Cup. That'll be great also. Yeah, so we may as well just start out hot. We have a couple games Thursday, Friday that we won't touch. I know Army, East Carolina tonight, and then we got Friday tomorrow. We got a couple as well: Florida State, Virginia, TCU, Arizona State, Houston, Oregon State. Maybe we'll get to a couple of those at the end of the show, but might as well start right on Saturday, noon. Notre Dame, Paisley. If you're fighting Irish, a little rough start to the season. Couple big games that they weren't able to win. They were very close in those games. They lost both those games by combined 4 points. And then they're going on the road at an Arkansas team, which is also still questionable. They offense has been up and down, a little shaky. Definitely a little bottom side of the SEC just for how top heavy they are and good this year. Look good at times. And then they lost a couple of games. They lost to Memphis last week, which was a crazy game, a crazy finish in that one too. Notre Dame opening up here at a 4.5-point favorite, at least it is now. So what do you think here, Paisley? Are the Irish in a good spot, or could Arkansas pull off the upset here?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting with that result, like you mentioned, against Memphis. If you're a fan of the team, you kind of don't want a team losing the week before when they shouldn't, because now they'll probably be focused and ready to go. But this was going to be a tough one, even regardless of the outcome of previous week. So in the game, I do have a great play on the total. I really like the over in this game. I think this really sets up. It's very high. It started out at like 58, 59. It's already moved up like 4 points early in the week here. So, but I just don't see any team really having much resistance to the opposing offense. I think for a side-wise, I'm kind of actually liking Notre Dame a little bit. This is the first time all year I kind of like Notre Dame, except for that Miami game. But, I'm kind of liking them in this spot just because if the number keeps creeping down. It opened up 6.5. A lot of respected money. A lot of people are taking Arkansas, which, you could see close to a touchdown. I think this game's going to be very back and forth, very ping-pong. So depending what number you get, I'm hoping it goes down to 3.5, 3 maybe, or maybe looking to get a cheap money line with a boost or something. So kind of lean Notre Dame on the side, but I do like the over because I think starting with the Notre Dame offense, they are very elite. They looked really sharp the first 3 games. That has not been the issue if you watch Notre Dame football. CJ Carr's playing lights out, maybe the best quarterback they've had since Brady Quinn, and maybe even better by the end of the season. He's that good. The running backs are very dangerous, had great games last game against Purdue. Not a great defense against Purdue, but they did put up close to 50 points. They took the starters out super early. So this offense is humming. They're doing everything right on that side of the ball. The passing game's starting to get going a little bit. Malachi Fields, the transfer from Virginia, is starting to show a little bit as a downfield threat. So Notre Dame really does check all the boxes offensively here. And, going into enemy territory is going to be a little tough, but this Arkansas defense has not allowed a lot of resistance in the first couple of games. Memphis moved the ball up and down the field on them. Arkansas State had a couple touchdowns on them. Their first week opponent against an FCS team had a couple 2-3 scores. So I really do like Notre Dame team total. It's been a play I've been hitting against Texas A&M, Purdue, and now this week again because I just trust their offense. Now, that's why I don't trust them in the game particularly as much because of their defense and their struggles. So I do like the total in the game. I like the Notre Dame team total over 34.5. You get under that 5 touchdown threshold. I think they're just going to keep lighting up the scoreboard every week. This defense is not as good as Miami's, not as good as Texas A&M, and they put up 41 against Texas A&M. So I think they're going to do their job and score a lot of points, but I do think Arkansas is going to score a lot of points themselves. They got a really talented quarterback, Taylor Green, who could run around a little bit, got a nice running back, some nice weapons outside. Notre Dame's D-line is the biggest issue. They just can't generate a lot of pass rush, so not something you want to see on the road. So looked a little better in the second half against Purdue, but they were up like 3-4 scores, so you knew what they were doing. They caused a couple turnovers, got a little more pressure. So maybe this defense could get better week by week, just slightly. They don't need it to be a top 10 defense like it was last year. They seem to be like a 70th or 80th in the country, honestly, because this offense is that good. So really interested to see how Notre Dame's defense lines up here against a very talented Arkansas offense. So I'm telling you, Case, a lot of points in this one. Might be a lock on the page on Saturday. I really like it that much. So give me the over in this one, Notre Dame team total, and then little lead to Notre Dame -4.5.
Yeah, you're the Notre Dame expert here, and I tend to agree with that analysis. I'm not getting fooled this time on the under. I took the under in the A&M Notre Dame game just because everybody was on the over. I was trying to outsmart everybody. Thought maybe we'd get a 13-17 or some ridiculously low scoring game. But no, this time I've seen enough. We're going into week 5. We've seen these teams play now multiple games. Notre Dame, we kind of know what team they are at this point. Offense is very good, electric. I don't think they're going to have a problem scoring. Like you said, they gave up 32 to Memphis. They gave up 41 to Ole Miss. Like you said, Arkansas State, I'm looking at it here, scored twice in that game. I didn't see it. But yeah, the Arkansas defense, I think they're going to have trouble all day slowing down Notre Dame. And then to your point about Notre Dame's defensive struggles themselves, I do think Arkansas will score. I will take the over at 63.5, even though that's a lot of points. I'm going to go over on that one. But I think Notre Dame will still, find a way to cover the spread. I think they're going to pull away later. Like maybe you're going to get 42 to, 28 or 42-35. It's just something like high scoring or 38-28. I think it'll be back and forth, early or most of the game. But yeah, I don't see points being hard to get here in this one. I think we're going to be over 63.5 for sure.
Yeah, Notre Dame had a couple injuries on defense. They were kind of holding out some guys that could have played, but they're going to suit up this game. They were kind of saving them for this game. So I just trust their defense to get enough stops. It's not going to be a ton, but I feel like they could get enough stops, like you said, to keep Arkansas in that 28 to 35 range. And I think they could do enough to get over that and cover the number.
Yeah. All right. Well, want to know here on agreement to start off the day here on the Fighting Irish. I'm not sure it'll be a lock on my end on the over, but I do like it. All right, moving on all the way to Illinois. USC, number 21 USC coming to Champaign, Illinois, 6.5-point favorite. The Trojans are going on the road. This is an interesting game because Illinois, ranked number 9 in the country. A week ago, they go to Bloomington, get absolutely decimated by Indiana, like 60, whatever, the 3-10. I forget what was the final, but it was just an absolute massacre of a game. The spread now all the way to 6.5. It might even be 7. I think I saw maybe -7 even on DraftKings today. USC at Illinois. My initial thoughts are I think Illinois just might not be a great team. I think they're good. I think they're like a solid team, but I don't know. Anytime you have that type of lopsided game, Indiana just did what they wanted to for 4 straight quarters offensively. I think Indiana's good, but I don't know. That's a lot of points. They were just able to do whatever they wanted. And I don't think Indiana, they don't have the 4 or 5-star, it's not like they're Georgia or anything. Let's be realistic. I think Indiana's really good, but to do that to a team, I know it was a big game, but I'm not going to lie. I'm selling a little bit in my Illinois stock. It's not because I have them as my disappointing team. That's part of it. And I think I'll be definitely right after this one, but I think they're kind of 2 different trajectory of a team. They're similar. They're ranked 21. They're ranked 23, but USC's trending way up. And I just think Illinois is just trending way down. So it's kind of meeting at different points of their seasons and different points of just how they're playing. So my initial thought is I like USC here, -6.5 or even -7, really, whatever one it's at.
Yeah, I think it was actually the early look ahead. You could bet some of these on Saturday while the games are going on, actually. I was doing some digging. I usually don't like to project that far out, but this was actually a pick 'em. It was USC -1.5, a cheap money line. So to move all the way up to 7.5, 7 early in the week, now it came down a little bit. I think there's still a lot of 7s out there. So again, whatever side you like, try and get the best number there. But this is another case of I was going to say Pac-12 school, but a West Coast team going to a different time zone. This is a noon start because of the big noon kickoff, 9 a.m. body clock for USC. We saw this happen with Oregon when they went to Northwestern. USC was just in Purdue 2 weeks ago and kind of had a sleepy performance. They won by, I think around 3 touchdowns, but it wasn't too overwhelming. They looked really good. Their offense is electric. USC's offense is really good. I really hate to try and back Illinois again here this week. I might be the only person in the country doing it. Not a strong play at all, but kind of saw a little sneaky play. I actually kind of liked a little more maybe than the full game is maybe just taking Illinois in the first half. Maybe because, they're going to come out firing. They got embarrassed. They're at home. They're on their normal body clock. So if you could find a +3.5, I think was out there for the first half. I thought that was a pretty good sneaky play if you're trying to look to attack Illinois. And I actually kind of like the over in this game as well. I think USC's offense is very good. Their defense looks better on paper, and they definitely got some more meat up there on the D-line, and they're holding teams a little bit better. But every game, a lot of teams are still putting up a lot of points. And, I just still think that USC defense struggles a little bit. But the offense is very good, and it's definitely a top 15 unit, I think. Jordan Mailata is playing really good at quarterback. They're running the ball really well. So Illinois has some injuries in the secondary. They got like 4 or 5 guys banged up in the Indiana game. So definitely check the injury report. I don't know if all of them are going to be back this game. So in that case, too, I kind of like USC to score a lot. I still like Altmaier. I think they could do enough against this defense. It was just someone said like an avalanche snowball effect in the Indiana game, which is what Indiana likes to do at home to some of these teams. So, I think they get a fresh slate here. They're at home. I think they'll have a better effort. So don't love the play at 6.5, but I think they'll show some fight here in the first half, maybe full game. But I do think their offense will have a good day. I'm just worried about Illinois' defense holding up for 4 quarters against USC. So kind of like the over is my favorite play. First half line, and then maybe the +7 if you could get it on Illinois for the full game for me.
But some good points. There certainly was a snowball effect in the Illinois-Indiana game. Once one thing happens, leads to 2-3 other things, a turnover. You find yourself down 3 scores, and you're kind of in panic mode by the second half. I mean, by halftime, this game was pretty much over. I think it was like 28-0. I mean, at that point, I think it was 35-0.
Yeah,
so that's definitely true. My just concern of how the lopsided, 579 yards to 161. I mean, just every stat line. I don't want to. I just think USC might be overall better team here. I think they just might have the better athletes, the better guys, and I just think they could run away with this game. I mean, I don't want to just freak out on Illinois, but that was such a bad performance, and then it's making me question. The other results, they looked okay against Duke, but that game was neck and neck, like we talked about, till, the fourth quarter. And then, they pulled away a little bit. And then, Duke goes on and they lose a couple of game or one
Duke's
game or
bad,
whatever.
yeah. Duke's bad.
So, right. So, it makes me question all these results. And maybe we'll get to it later with other games, but look at Clemson. Yeah, you return a lot of guys. You're preseason ranked very high, and they look awful. Klubnik hasn't looked good, and they just can't figure it out. And look, anybody with a brain knows that Clemson has better athletes than Syracuse, but it doesn't matter. I mean, if it's the wrong whatever you want to call it, coaching scheme, just things aren't clicking. And I'm almost worried that Illinois had so much preseason hype, not quite as much as Clemson, but when last was Illinois preseason top 15 or top 10? And I don't know. I'm thinking that this could be one that USC might pull away and win this game. So a little bit of disagreement here. We'll see what happens on Saturday. But if Illinois doesn't cover this, I will be probably totally out on them. But right now, I just think 2 different trajectories. We'll see how Illinois responds. Huge chance for them. I mean, if they could come out, keep this game close at home, and if they could actually pull off, which is now the upset, and win this game, that would be huge. May actually save their season, being able to do that. But right now, I've seen enough that I just lost my faith from last week. I'm all over USC here.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's scary to back Illinois. This might be the last time I bet them all year, maybe, because I'm not a believer in them full term. But more just a little spot play here. I think because of how embarrassing it was last week, they should show up. But like you said, maybe they're just bad, and maybe it's just not going to, and that's why I just can't put my full stock into it. I don't love this play, but I could see a little back and forth maybe in this one, a little ping pong action as well. And that's why the total is very high at 60.5, but I still do like it to go over.
Going to be fun to watch, though, definitely. See how both these, especially Illinois, responds. More interested to see how they look compared to USC. But maybe USC could also have a big statement win here on the road as well. All right, so that one at noon on Saturday. That's a couple of them. Moving on to game number 3 here to recap, or to preview, excuse me. This is another great game. Wouldn't have thought it would be this good of a game, but Washington hosting the number 1 team in the country right now, Ohio State. This spread's only 8.5. I couldn't believe that at first. I thought it was going to be, 13.5, 12.5, maybe even 14. But a few factors. I mean, Washington has impressed people so far. They've looked a little bit better than some of the national media thought they would in the beginning of the season. And then they also are hosting Ohio State. So the same thing, kind of reverse for USC Illinois. Ohio State's got to go all the way out to the West Coast and play Washington. Also a difficult environment. I mean, they know how to do it up there. Very loud stadium. We're not totally sure exactly what Team Ohio State is yet. I mean, they beat Texas. They have a great win. They play elite defense, no doubt about it. But similar to, once again, a dozen other teams across the country, they're just really not, like, we don't know how good Texas is. We're going to need a little bit more to sample. So I think that's why we saw that spread come down a little bit. Going to be a good one, Paisley. I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are on this one. Ohio State laying 8.5, total at 51.5 in this one.
Yeah, this one is so interesting. This might be like my maybe not most must watch I want to watch, but I'm just so intrigued by this game because, like you said, this actually was again last Saturday 13.5, 12.5, and then it moved all the way down. We've seen nothing but Washington money. I took a little piece at 10.5 because I knew the line was going to keep going down. I got some good sourcing there, and just from some of the guys I follow, and now it's down to 8.5. Kind of went down to 7.5 at some points too. Didn't really see a 7 flat. I don't think it's going to go below 7, but kind of hang in this 7-8 point range. And I just don't get it. I don't know. I kind of took Washington early, but I kind of do like Ohio State in this game, so I might cash out of that one and take Ohio State. I don't know. I think it's just a little. It's just interesting to me. I don't know why all these people love Washington this much. Now I like Washington too. They definitely are a very solid team. I think they're in that middle to upper tier in the Big Ten this year. But now, like with this number getting this low, like you say, you got to play the numbers. We're not just playing to win the game outright. So they're at home. Their quarterback is very dynamic, really good dual threat guy. Ohio State still has some questions too. Like you said, the Texas win looked good, but their offense, definitely struggled in that one. And Texas was moving the ball, just couldn't really punch it in. And we see how bad Texas is now. And they had a couple nice, easy games. Ohio State, so the motivation wasn't really there. And Washington, on the other hand, that's where I'm just not seeing with Washington. I was following some of their games. They definitely didn't play a lot of great opponents either, but their defense is not as good, I don't think, to slow down this Ohio State offense and the firepower it has. So one play I did make and I do like is the Ohio State team total over 30.5. I just do think Ohio State's, I like Julian Saint. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's going to keep getting better. I think they might unleash him here a little bit and be a little more aggressive than they were in that Texas game because it was just a very slow, grinded down game. I do worry a little bit about Ohio State's defense. That's my only thing with laying this 7, 8.5 because they looked really impressive in week one, but that was Arch Manning and, first star, as we said. So I'm really interested to see Ohio State's defense and see how they look, but I just do feel confident about Ohio State having a lot of success on offense against Washington's defense that isn't that good. They played Washington State last week, and it was a weird game, a rivalry game right before Ohio State, so maybe they're looking ahead. And final score looks a lot larger than what it was. It was actually a very close game in the third quarter, and Washington State is terrible. They are really bad, and Washington was laying 21.5 in that game, and they I don't know if they covered or were close to it, but it really was a close game, and Washington State is not that good. So now you're welcoming the number one team with all the firepower on offense and everything going for them there. So I think this is one where you do have to respect the sharp money and the people that do this for a living that bet Washington all the way down. But I could see us going the other way. And like you said, I kind of could see Ohio State putting a stamp on this one and really showing why they're the number one team. I'd probably put them 1, Miami 2 as like my, best teams I've seen this year. So, with all these other teams struggling at the top, I do feel like Ohio State's ready to take that next step, and we're kind of waiting in the weeds for this game. So getting a little disrespected in the market. So really like the Ohio State team total. Like I said, would probably lean to them if you get a 7.5, 7. And then I would take the over too. I think Washington could do enough to get their points to get this over the 51.5. 51.5 is a very key number in college football. So I'm looking, hopefully that comes down to maybe 50 or 49, but I think, again, I like a couple overs here to start the preview here, but I do like another over here. And my gut, just says Ohio State, but I do respect and saw what happened with Washington plus all those points. But I just feel like Ohio State gets it done here and wins by double digits.
Yeah, good points. I tend to lean Ohio State also. I just don't quite fully grasp it. I'm trying to think on why, give me a reason to take Washington. They're at home. That's far travel. They've looked good, but once again, they haven't played anybody. And there are questions about their defense. I mean, they gave up 24 to Washington State a week ago.
Yeah.
They gave up 21 to Colorado State. I just pulled up their schedule week 1. So I don't
Colorado
quite
State's
get
bad,
all that.
too. They're very,
Yeah.
very good, Colorado State.
So I just don't fully grasp this either. It's why I also lean the over at 51.5. I mean, would like it even, lower to take the over, but even at 51.5, I'd probably still take it. I just don't see Ohio State having, too much trouble being able to score on them on this defense. And then the other way, yeah, I mean, Washington's been putting up a lot of offensive points also. I mean, they played nobody but 59 a week ago, 70 against UC Davis, whatever, that is. So back and forth. I want to, as much as I would love as a Penn State fan to see just an absolute upset here and Washington pull this game out. I mean, I'll probably be rooting for them if it goes in overtime or something, but I just don't see it happening. I think you're right. I think it's a disrespectful thing. I just don't fully grasp it. Maybe we'll be wrong here and we'll wake up on Sunday or Saturday night and it'll be an upset. But I just don't see this one coming out. I really don't understand it. I think Ohio State's done enough offensively and defensively with the slowing down Texas. I don't get why it's at 8.5. I think this should be up more at 13.5. So maybe I'll even lay a few more at plus better odds here on DraftKings or something like that. But no, I'm pretty confident in Ohio State. You'll probably see that on my page on Saturday, but this has happened multiple times when we get confident on a couple games and it totally goes the other way. But I can't buy into Washington. I think they're a decent team, but I just think Ohio State's a step better. They're just the athletes across the field, like these 5 stars. Julian Sains look good. I just don't have a reason other than the exception of traveling and going on the road. That's my only data point that says maybe Washington could, try to keep this thing close. But I just think by the third, fourth quarter, Ohio State will be able to pull away.
Yeah, I think like you said, I think if Ohio State does what they do, they could really run away with this one. But if you like Washington, maybe look to a little money line. Like you said, maybe it's a little close on the road.
That too, yeah.
Ohio State's look terrible. It could be one of those games where it's either a blowout or the underdog wins outright. So, I don't like doing that all the time because I do like taking my points with the underdogs. But sometimes it does kind of have those feels. And you could at least get a little more plus money with Washington. But I'm with you. I think Ohio State puts a nice little stamp here on this one.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. Another great game. Another ranked matchup here, top 15 SEC showdown. Number 4 LSU, who had the big win over Clemson, that now all of a sudden doesn't look too impressive. Struggled at times this year, and then now they're going on the road to number 13 Ole Miss. Ole Miss laying 1.5, so practically a pick'em game. This has been going back and forth, but Ole Miss has the home field advantage. The game's at 3:30, not 7:30. I know Lane Kiffin was a little upset about that, but nonetheless, it'll be a tough game, tough place to play for LSU. Should be a good one. This is going to really shape, I think, a lot of the SEC standings for the season. Huge game for both teams, both unbeaten. So this is going to be a very big quality win going into SEC, and we'll definitely give the winner of this the upper leg here moving forward.
Yeah, Case, I really have a strong opinion on this one. I love this play. Definitely going to be a lock for sure. Might have a couple locks, maybe 2 or 3, because I do like some of these big-time games. We'll get to one later, too. But I love LSU here. I hate to say I'm back in Brian Kelly, my favorite coach in the world. But I just don't think Ole Miss should be favored. Like, I don't get this line. I am not a believer in Ole Miss. Their defense is terrible. I know LSU's offense hasn't looked great, but, Florida's defense is pretty good. I think they showed that again against Miami. So it was a 2010 game. They definitely got 5 turnovers. Very fortunate there. I'm not saying LSU has looked great in their last couple of games. Like you said, the Clemson win also does not look as great right now. But I think they could really fix their offensive struggles here against this really bad Ole Miss defense. Like Kentucky was moving the ball on them. Arkansas was moving the ball, put up 45-plus points. So I think LSU actually breaks out here and has a really nice game offensively. I trust Nussmeier. Love him. I think he's a great quarterback. I really think their receiving core is really good, so I think they're going to really spread around there. They can't really run the ball, but hopefully against a bad defense like Ole Miss, maybe they could do that and have a little more balance here, but I still trust even if they have to pass a lot with Nussmeier here. So I like that side of the matchup. And the other side, Ole Miss definitely has a very good offense. I think they're going to keep that backup quarterback rolling. He's been playing pretty good. He was from the FCS last year. Now is the national champion at the FCS. I forget the name of the team, but so very good FCS quarterback or Division II, I think it was. Now he moves up. He's playing really good. Hasn't really faced the best defenses his last 2 games. So this is going to be a huge step up. I just don't think Ole Miss is going to have as much success as they had the last couple games. I really respect this LSU defense. It's so weird seeing some of these teams this year, Case, where kind of like Notre Dame, we talked about last year, they were such a defensive, run-heavy, low-scoring team. Now they're an offensive firepower. Defense sucks in 1 year. LSU is kind of the difference now. They were always high scoring. You think back to those Burrow teams and Chase and Jefferson and lighten up the scoreboard. Now they're kind of more defensive team. Actually, if you look at their total scores, it's been very low. So a lot of people are betting the over in this one. I kind of liked it too in a normal matchup, but I don't know, I'm kind of leaning under a little bit actually, but I don't think I'm going to be playing that. I'm just going to be all on the side here. I like what LSU is going to do defensively. I think they really have a top 5 or top 10 defense in the country. And I do trust Nussmeier and those guys to get it going against a really bad Ole Miss defense here. So this is definitely a 2-unit play. Love this one right when it came out. I was very shocked. It was a pick-em going into the very look-aheads like we talked about last Saturday. And only Ole Miss has gotten money. It got out to 2.5. I grabbed it at 2.5. Didn't really see a 3. So I think the wrong team's favorite here, and I'll take LSU. Love this one here.
Well, you definitely caught me by surprise because I thought for sure you were going to just totally go against Brian Kelly here and go with Ole Miss. That's a great point. I mean, this one I was really undecided about. I don't have faith in Ole Miss. I don't think they're a legitimate contender. But the offense at least looks good. And LSU, I'm just worried this is going to be a crazy season where these teams get big wins. We don't know the type of team that they beat, and they kind of fall off a little bit. I just think LSU could also be a little bit overrated. I'm not quite sure that they're the actual 4th best team in the country. And I know we could play this game all day. Rankings don't always mean a lot. They change. Of course, there could be 5 other teams that get hot and are better. But I don't know. I'm really undecided on this one. Ole Miss, I like them at home. I think their offense is gonna be good. I think they'll be all right offensively, but like you laid out, their defense is pretty bad. And I do trust Garrett Nussmeier a lot. I would give him the quarterback edge. So in a pick'em situation, I probably lean LSU, but I'm definitely not quite as sold on them as you, just because I'm worried that we don't exactly know how good this LSU team is yet, either just from being possibly misled from the first 4 weeks of the season a little bit. But nonetheless, I'm unsure about this one. I will lean LSU. I'm going to take your word for it. I'm definitely not taking Lane Kiffin. I'm not a fan of him anyway. But yeah, I'm going to lean LSU here. Going to be an interesting game. And yeah, I don't see either of these teams. I think we're going to get some points in this one on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, well, 2 more things. One, every time I bet either with Brian Kelly, it never goes right. And then if I bet against him, they look like the best team in the country. So definitely take that word for it from prior year experience. And
okay.
I forgot my second point there, but yeah, it was more on the Brian. Oh, that was it. Ole Miss, I think they're the Illinois of the Big Ten or of the SEC.
Ooh,
just look out. Okay. I can see the wheels falling off here. They lose this one. Very, very open. 13 in the country. I just don't see them as number 13. I think they're going to start going backwards. So
who do you think wins? Who do you think wins the Pop-Tarts Bowl this year between Illinois and Ole Miss?
That'd be a great game. Love the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Shout out. I'd have to lean Ole Miss in that one, unfortunately. They're a little bit better than Illinois.
Love to see it, but going to be a great game. Currently a pick'em, Paisley all over LSU there, so I'm sure you guys will see that on the page on Saturday. Moving on to the Big Ten, number 11, Indiana, who climbed all the way up the ladder from 19 to 11 after stomping the Illini last week. 7.5-point favorites here at Iowa. Paisley, I think this is going to be a tough game. I think this is going to be a really interesting game. I think that might be too many points, kind of playing the reverse of my thought process on USC, Illinois, where I'm taking USC because I think Illinois is terrible. This one, I think that the spread may have just inflated a little bit too much because of Indiana's performance. Iowa has been a weird team. I just think defensively they're getting a little bit better. They get the win over Rutgers, but their second half, the defense stepped up a little bit, not Iowa level, but still slightly better. I think they're getting, as the season's going forward, I think we get a little bit version of Iowa. And being a Penn State fan also, it's a very tough environment. I think the Iowa fans will be showing up. It's going to be loud. And Indiana coming off of a huge win like that. I don't know. I don't see Iowa being able to win this game, but I think I might take them here with the 7.5 points. Total is pretty low here, only at 47.5.
Yeah, I'm also agreeing with you, Case. This is another scary one, back in a Iowa team that, again, they look good in that Rutgers game on Friday night last night. We talked about their offense is putting up 35 points. 2 straight games against lesser competition. Yeah, his defense is a lot better, but we're betting spots here. It's week by week betting. I like Indiana. They showed a lot last week, and I think they could be a really good team. But like you said, after that huge win, they put a lot of emotion into it. Now they have to go on the road the next week. We kind of previewed this a little bit. That's not an easy spot to go. And now Iowa coming off 2 nice wins, a little extra time to prepare. Offense getting a little bit better. So I do agree with you. Defense is slowly getting there. But I do like them. This kind of started 5.5, 6, went all the way up to 9. I saw at one point, back now down to 7.5. I saw 8.5 during the day today too. So you can maybe get an 8.5 if it's out there, but I'm with you. It's again, not one of my stronger plays, but just a nice little 1 unit. I do think Iowa, I'd rather just take them in this spot at home, getting the points. I think they could be a feisty dog here, slow the game down. And I think Indiana's going to be a little gas coming off of that huge win and emotional, letdown, little hangover, as they say, going into the next week here at Iowa. Just a very, very tough scheduling spot for them. But probably my second most intriguing game behind the Ohio State-Washington. I'm really interested to see how Indiana responds here and if they could take that next step, or is it going to be a choppy game up there in Iowa?
Are you a Peacock subscriber, Mr. Paisley?
I am actually, yes.
Okay, good. Because I'm actually not, but this one is exclusively on Peacock. So
is it really?
Yep.
I hate when they do that. And it messes up the TV too, because then you're on YouTube TV and then you got to stream and it's messed up.
Yeah.
So can we stop?
That's awful. I'll be tailgating. I'll have the 4 quad boxes in State College, and I won't be able to throw this one on at 3:30. Right. I mean, there's other great games, but yeah, not happy about that. But nonetheless, agreed on this one. It's going to be fun to see how Indiana responds. Huge opportunity for Iowa. I mean, big, almost a top 10. I mean, arguably, they're number 11 team coming to your house. Like you said, look great offensively against Rutgers, putting up 38 points. I don't recall a single time in my life where Iowa's put up 3 30-point games already here by week 4. I know 2 of them were against, horrible teams, but still, nonetheless, doing it against the Big Ten is definitely tough. So we'll see if they can keep that up. And yet the defense, it's a strange defense this year. They're getting a bad rap so far, especially how they looked in that first half against Rutgers. I just don't think they're quite as big and talented. Like, they're not getting as much pressure on the line of scrimmage. They're having trouble getting the quarterback. I think their secondary is okay. Like, I think it's still typical Iowa standards. They're fast. I think not worried about there, but just more of the pressure. If they could figure out to get a little bit more, maybe it could even be coached just some different, blitz packaging to try to, speed that up a little bit. But I don't think it's quite that bad. I just think it's not how it normally is there. So yeah, I'm going to lean Iowa here. I'm not sure if I'll have it on my slate here, but right now I just can't. I'm not going Indiana back-to-back weeks here with that after beating Illinois like that.
Yeah, we're playing numbers here, like we said, and it's just interesting because Indiana was laying around this number to Illinois last week at home. Now you're laying the same number on the road at Iowa. Do you think Illinois or Iowa is better? I think they're pretty even, and I would maybe give the edge to Iowa, honestly, if you're just looking at the teams, not at ranking. So I just think the number is just a little inflated, a lot overreacting this week. So now we're starting to get our bigger games. If you get a big win, big loss, it's starting to overreact. Maybe don't just go with what everyone is saying. Maybe look to zig when everyone's zagging there a little bit.
On our way to the SEC, another 2 pretty good teams here. Auburn going on the road at number 9 Texas A&M. A&M, of course, getting the huge win against Notre Dame to kind of propel and make them a legitimate team. They've looked great offensively. Their quarterback Marcel Reed has been one of the stories of the year for them, and they are laying 6.5 points at home. They have Auburn, who had a heck of a shot against Oklahoma last week, almost pulled off that win late. Couldn't quite get it done. We recapped that here on Sunday night, but here they have another golden opportunity, a little bit tougher, I think, though, going on the road at A&M. Tough environment. A&M laying 6.5. They've had ups and downs, Auburn, so far. Jackson Arnold, quarterback there. Total sitting at 52.5, basically.
Yeah, like you said, Auburn, we were very impressed with Auburn, how they looked at Oklahoma. Didn't get the win, obviously. And that safety should have been a 5-point loss instead of a 7-point loss. But I think they should have more success offensively here against Texas A&M. After watching that Notre Dame game, they have a lot of holes on that defense. They're just not as good as they showed, but should be a little bit better at home. And again, defenses usually get better with more time and more throughout the season here. So I'm waiting for a 7. I'd love to have a 7.5. So kind of just being very patient with that. I'd kind of lean Auburn on the side there, but I actually like the total a little more. We're going to go over again. I like a lot of overs this week. I do think Texas A&M's offense, again, a little bit different team, like we talked about, Case. Texas A&M more of an offensive team this year. A lot of explosive plays, passing, defense not as great, which is not what you've seen from a Texas A&M team in the past. So just kind of have to like work our brains a little differently from these teams going into 2025 here. And I like Jackson Arnold as a quarterback. I think he could run around a little bit. I think he'll have a nice bounce back game. It's not going up against the Oklahoma defense. Tough spot again on the road, but like the receivers, Auburn's defense actually showed up pretty well in that Oklahoma game. So I think they'll have some success maybe to keep within the number. I do like the over. I don't love both these plays, but just kind of ones maybe I'll throw on a side TV, could take a look at and maybe put a unit on each. But I do kind of like the over here. Both offenses have success, but I do like Auburn maybe to keep within a number. I just don't trust Texas A&M yet to, really win by a good margin here. I think it'll be a closer game. And I do like Auburn. I've been betting them the last couple of weeks. I think they're a good team, close to covering the last couple of weeks. We got a push last week, but I think they'll keep these games close in the SEC play. Even though they're really tough spots, I don't think they're going to get blown out. So should be another fascinating one at 3:30. Going to be another fun one.
This spread is so challenging for me because you're right. It's right at that number of, touchdown or not. 6.5 would, at 7.5 with Auburn, I'd feel a little bit better. I mean, a couple other things to keep note here. A&M coming off of a bye week. So you get the big win on the road at Notre Dame. They are off. They were able to rest. They were able to prepare. But I actually don't always love that argument because I've seen a million teams come off of a bye week a little slow out of the gates. I mean, it's happened to Penn State a zillion times practically. So also want to keep that in mind. So that's not everything. Also Auburn, I actually forgot. Yeah, they were on the road at Oklahoma. They didn't host them. So this is back-to-back road games. This is going to be another tough game. So, will they come out motivated after the loss? Will they come out refreshed, or are they going to look a little bit, slow themselves coming off, another tough road game? Not a lot of time, got to go all the way back to Auburn, then you got to travel again. So just some of that to keep in mind. I don't know what to do here. I probably lean A&M, giving them just how their offense has looked. Maybe they could pull away later, stretch the game out a little bit. I think it'd be close for most of the game, but maybe they could get another touchdown late, win the game by 10, something weird like that. Maybe they could get up to 14. I don't know. I like their offense. I think that's legit. Auburn's just a little bit of a tough spot, I think, on the road, but won't be stunned here either way if Auburn keeps this thing closer. But just because it's at that 6.5 and not 7.5, I may honestly make the difference for me. I'm gonna lean A&M, but not don't feel very strongly about this one right now.
Yeah, no, it's definitely looking at the whole board. Like there's some of these games where it's just like, it's just so tough to pick one side or the other. Sometimes they make these really just sharp lines, and it's just so hard to go one way or another. So don't have to bet them all, but definitely if you love some ones, definitely put some more money on those and don't have to bet every single game.
All right, now two of our marquee matchups of the evening here on Saturday evening, 7:30, number 17, Alabama going to Athens, Georgia, number 5, Georgia total sitting at 52.5. Georgia, 3-point edge right now. They're at home. That's what they typically give for the home team. Alabama, of course, the storyline we know, lost to Florida State early. It's kind of rebounded since then. Have looked good. Georgia has the signature win on the road at Tennessee. I'll let you analyze this one, Paisley, first, but I don't know. My initial thought is I like Alabama, but I'm not sure. Historically, Bama's had their number, but this one just feels weird where Bama's kind of getting hotter, as we talked about last week, and as the season's moving forward. Georgia was very close to already having a loss. I mean, how much would that have affected this spread? I don't know, but I'd be interested here to get your analysis on this one.
That's a great point. I'm going to try and convince you again because second favorite play of the day. Love the Bulldogs here at home. Love Georgia in this spot. Again, I really was very impressed with the offense at Tennessee. Defense did not look good, as we saw in that Tennessee game, but I think that's because Tennessee's offense is very legit. I think they're a top 10 unit. You're on the road, it's a little bit tougher, but I think their defense shows up a little bit better here. I don't think they have a great defense like they normally do, Georgia, but now you're at home. You got the crowd behind you. You got the night game. So I think they will fare a lot better than what they showed in that Tennessee game. So for that, I like them in this spot too. And the offense showed really well on the road. Gunnar Stockton looked really poised, really well, throwing the ball, which we knew he's a good runner. But now if you could add that throwing element into the game, made a couple big-time throws on the road there. Now you come home to, definitely a better defense in Alabama than what Tennessee was probably providing there. But I just like the spot here. That game last year was so heartbreaking for Georgia where they got down early, came back, lost it at the end with a couple crazy plays to end the game there. And I loved Alabama before the year. It was a very disappointing loss at Florida State. Liked how they bounced back, but they look good against Wisconsin and UL Monroe, which we'll get to UL Monroe actually later, but two not great teams. They kind of caught them in really good spots at home. Wisconsin's really not that good this year. They lost another game last week, so a lot of problems going on there. So I don't like this Alabama team on the road here to go. They've been struggling on the road actually with Kalen DeBoer a lot last year. Someone brought up that Oklahoma game last year. The Tennessee game was also on the road last year, so different team, but I think they just do a lot better at home. They're more comfortable. Now this is one of the toughest places to play at night, 7:30. Game day is not going to Georgia, so that's also a little bit more motivation for the fans there. So I just think all these signs are just pointing Georgia here. Note on these two games, if you use FanDuel and DraftKings, you could use some boost, 50% boost on both these games on both apps. So I actually don't like taking the points here. I'll take the money line and kind of boost it down to like a, plus 100 or minus 110 price for Georgia here. So I'll be looking to do that on both apps. But I do kind of like the over a little bit. Don't love it. But I do think Georgia's defense fares better. Their offense looks really good. They've been waiting for this game. They finally got them at home. Haven't beaten them in like 15, 20 years at home, apparently. So I feel like Georgia really puts a stamp here. I just think this line's a little too low here. So give me the dogs going barking here and getting a big win against Alabama.
Early bold there, Paisley. Being in this love here with Georgia. I will say, I feel like you are working for the house right now. I think you're working for Vegas. I think you've been compromised, and I think you're trying to convince me because you saw Georgia. I mean, all those points make a lot of sense. But my then argument would be maybe the spread should be -7 Georgia, -8 Georgia. I don't, you're at home. I mean, we're saying if this is neutral site. I feel like you are being the house, and my gut is just going Alabama. I just think they're going to rebound. I think Florida State's better. I think that I gave them credit for. And I don't know. It's going to be tough, like a hostile environment. But I just the spread then should be more than 3. I mean, I just feel like Alabama would go in there and silence the crowd like they've done historically, and maybe I read into that too much. I usually look at the historical trends, and I know it's new teams every year, and Nick Saban's gone. I was just so down on Alabama. I mean, congratulations to them. They were one of my losers of the week already, and after that Florida State loss, I believe. But I don't know. I have this weird feeling that they're going to get it done. They're going to find a way on the road. I just think these are both still really good teams. And yeah, I don't know. I'm doing a little bit of reverse psychology here, where I feel like it almost should be more than 3. And I don't love the play. I'm not doing a blood oath on this one on the play or anything. I may not even have it on my slate, but I definitely am not all over Georgia. I think just Alabama's had their number over the years. Maybe this will be different. Maybe this will be, a completely different result, and Georgia will go in and maybe win substantially, which is always a possibility. And trust me, I will not be disappointed if that happens. If Alabama gets blown out, I'm all for it. I'd rather be wrong, 7 days of the week here. But I'm going to lean. I'm sticking with it. Great analysis. I trust you, but I think you've been compromised. I think you're getting paid by MGM Casino or something going on here. And I'm gonna stick Alabama.
You caught me. My salesman pitch is not working. I'm trying to make it work for my underground network that I have here. But yeah, it's going to be – you're right, though. It is weird that it's only 3. And this actually opened 4.5 a week ago.
Yeah.
It's only been taking Alabama money. I did see a 2.5, kind of went back up to 3. So you're right. A lot of people do like Alabama. I'm just kind of in the minority this week. So it's either going to look really, really good, or it'll look really smart, or very, very dumb. And just for trends and stuff, I'm just not a big trends guy. Like, I think those Alabama teams were just so good, and I love Saban.
Sure.
He was just so different. So I think it's just a completely different team, and it's hard to like remove that from what you've known your whole life and stuff. But I like to take it year by year, then follow some of these trends.
That's a good point, and that leads us right into the next game, Mr. Paisley, because the trend of number 6 Oregon at number 3 Penn State here is that James Franklin cannot win the big game. So I don't want to hear you mention that now, since you're an anti-trend guy. But no, Penn State at home. Of course, I'll be there. If there's any new listeners to this, big Penn State fan. As you can see, Paisley is a Notre Dame fan, so we try not to be biased towards our team, but of course it happens sometimes. Penn State 3.5-point favorites, was 6.5 a couple weeks ago. Then Penn State struggled on offense a little bit. I mean, we could have a whole hour show. I could just rant about how disappointed I've been in their offense in the first 3 weeks. But then on the other side, Oregon's look fantastic. Of course, the criticism is they really haven't played any competition either. Of course, they rolled Oklahoma State, but I guess we haven't talked about it yet on air. But Mike Gundy is out there. That just says what disarray that they are in. So kind of still unsure on both these teams. Certainly Penn State haven't played anybody. Defenses look great. They've brought Jim Knowles in. I'm not too worried about the defense, but who knows? Maybe I will be playing this high-powered, fast-paced Oregon offense. They've looked fantastic, but of course the argument is we're just unsure of the competition that they also played. And then of course like all these games, the home atmosphere. Oregon's got to travel cross country, a couple thousand miles across the whole continental United States, to land in central Pennsylvania. Going to be a whiteout, going to be loud there. It'll be it'll be their biggest game by far at home this season, unless Indiana comes in at 10-0 at the end of the year. But yeah, number 6 Oregon at number 3 Penn State. Paisley, I guess I could let you here analyze this first, get your initial thoughts, and then I'll give my closing thoughts on that one.
Sure. Yeah, no, it sounds good. And we're also not going to go with trends here, Case. We're going to go stick with it. We're going with James Franklin and the Nittany Lions here to get a big win. I really like this one, like before the year. Then it kind of got a little closer. Now I'm getting a little more scared of it. But again, going to take them on the money line, boost it down, get a little bit lower price on that one, like 3.5. This is another one, Case. We want to talk about lines. This is weird. It was weird. It was 4.5, went down a little bit. This has not come down to below 3. I've been checking all week. It has barely gotten to 3, like -120, -115, staying right at 3.5. So again, this is another one. If you want to be a little conspiracy theory, like why is this not going down? If everyone loves Oregon, I think there's a lot of respect for Penn State, but they haven't shown a lot, like you said, haven't looked good. I think they've been playing a little possum. I think they just have been going very vanilla. I do have some concerns on the offense, but I think the defense is legit. I think they are very top 10 formidable. This Oregon offense has looked really good. Now, Oregon, like you said, has played a very easy schedule as well. They at least played FBS teams, unlike Penn State with some of their teams that they played. But Oklahoma State, like you said, you got to throw some of these games out. Northwestern is really bad. They only won by 20 in that one. They did give up a late touchdown, and Oregon State is very, very bad too. They might be one of the worst, with Oklahoma State as one of the worst FBS teams. So I'm not impressed with this Oregon team either. They looked really good. They did what they did, but that's great what you do against when you play terrible teams. Now this is a completely different opponent going on the road here in a raucous environment, probably the toughest environment to play at night here. Defense is going to be rocking. So I think this offense struggles. They look so good, high-powered. I think they're going to struggle. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. This is actually one of my maybe only unders that I like on the board here that we previewed. So I do like the under 52.5 actually as my first play. And then I do like Penn State as my second play. The -3.5 is tough because Oregon is very good. You got to give them respect. I don't think they're garbage, but it is tough to be laying over a field goal with a very talented team like Oregon. So I'd be a little weary at 3.5. I'd try and get a 3. Use your boost on these games. Try and bring these lines down or take a money line. But I do like Penn State here. I think they got what they want. They got their team they want. They haven't looked good in the first couple of games. And you're right. Will this show that there is a lot of problems, or was it just they were playing possum and they were just kind of going very vanilla, and now they're going to maybe not unleash everything, but just have a little more focus, a little more motivation, a little more drive this week. These practices are going to be a little different this week than the last couple of weeks leading up to it. So very, very scary putting our faith in James Franklin here, as I don't like to do this in big games against Penn State, but I feel like this one, the spot, the home field, I'm selling Oregon. I'm not as high as the whole country. I don't think they're the best team in the country. I think Penn State shows and proves why they're a top team this year. Maybe I'll be wrong, but I am back in James Franklin, which is very, very scary. And I know you probably have great experience with that. So what could go wrong? Maybe give me James Franklin -3, 3.5 here.
Yeah, I mean, that's terrifying, Paisley. I do not. I mean, here's the best argument that you have right now. And if I was an outsider, and I'm going to make my pick in a second, but at least Penn State is the favorite because they tend to win the games that they're the favorite, with the exception of I think I've actually forget maybe the Orange Bowl last year against Notre Dame. I can't remember what that closed at. It was like Notre Dame -2, then it was Penn State -2. I don't know, remember exactly what it was. They may have been the favorite at kickoff there, but nonetheless, typically they do win these games when they're the favorite. They're also at home, of course, the hostile environment. Oregon's got to travel cross country. Scheduling, you just hit all the notes there, but unsure what Oregon team is. Now, my concern, and I think it's a very valid concern, is it's possible that the offense, was just early in the season, we're not getting all the play calls in, and even though Franklin said that's not true, just a little shaky. Week 1, 2, 3, using backups, rotations, a lot of that, and that could all be true. However, what's not true and what's not affecting the playbook is when Drew Aller just misses screens and throws it at somebody's feet, or the offensive line is clearly just, FIU's getting a lot of push, right off the defense line. That is just one-on-one, talent, like let the better. And I'm not by any means saying that FIU's line is better. They weren't, but just some of those things I've been concerned about. It looks like the running game has had some trouble. Nick Singleton just doesn't look himself. He kind of has ups and downs in his college career. I've noticed he's kind of just running into the guy. His vision is terrible. If there's any, Nick Singleton family members listening, I'm sorry. His vision's one of the worst I've ever seen in college football. He's really good. He's a freak athlete. He's an All-American running back, but if there's a wide open gap, he'll just purposely avoid it and run into like some linebacker to lower shoulder. I don't know why, but he does that. I don't know. All this being said, I hate to even make a pick on this one. I'm going to take Oregon with the points. I'm not saying Penn State's going to lose the game. I'm not saying they're going to lose the game. Maybe we could get a close game. Penn State wins by field goal. Until I see it, I can't believe it. And I know they're the favorite here, and they've won similar games, but it's a little bit different. I think Oregon has like a legitimate high-powered offense, and I've also just seen enough from them. I haven't seen enough from Penn State. Maybe they'll grow into that team. They'll grow into the elite team everybody said they will be. If they win here, I'll be on board probably when we meet a week or Sunday night and talking all about it. But until I see that jump, I'm not going to do it. I can't take them, especially laying the points here. I'm going to lean Oregon plus 3.5.
Yeah, you better be careful of your tailgates there with all your family members and fans there.
Well, they can win, but I didn't say we're going to lose.
Well, yeah, game-winning field goal would be perfect. That'd be everybody.
Game-winning field goal. Ryan Barber, 42-yarder.
Yeah, and I just want to touch on that point you said about the running game. That's been my biggest concern because we talk about when you're playing these inferior opponents, you should be able to run the ball. You have bigger athletes, bigger offensive lines. Penn State is supposed to have a good offensive line, 2 best backs in the country apparently, but I think it's more just one, like you said. So they're just not getting a lot of push. So we'll just turn around the Oregon game. That's going to be what we'll have to see. And my biggest second question mark is Drew Aller, like we talked about. With the success Bo Pribula is having at Missouri in that offense and that system, I just don't know if it's the right fit for Drew Aller in this system. Now I'm saying that and I'm backing Penn State, so you're like, what are you saying? But I do think it just starts to click a little bit more, but I just don't know if they have the right pieces to the puzzles that they want. But I just really, really, really trust this Penn State defense to really hold Oregon down. I just see Penn State winning a really ugly 21-17. Kind of compared it to maybe like that Ohio State game last year at Penn State that they ended up losing, but just really grind it out. Like, maybe one big play here or there is going to change the game. But I could see a very, very, very low scoring game here.
Yeah, well, I hope you're right. I'd actually prefer this as a fan, probably being a low scoring game. I do not want to get ourselves into this, crazy shootout or something.
Yeah, it should favor Penn State, a low scoring game.
It should favor Penn State. And the running game's important. They ran the ball well. We didn't really touch on this, but they just played, not long ago in the Big Ten championship. I know they're different rosters, especially on Oregon's side, but if anything, Oregon's deep line should have regressed. They have certainly. They can't be as talented as they were last year, just with a different team, younger guys. And Penn State was able to run the ball very successfully against them, and they're returning 4 of their 5 offensive linemen, both running backs. So, they should be able to run the ball, no doubt about it. I'm just unsure of them why we weren't able to do it so well against some of our first 3 opponents. That's my concern. They should. I hope they come out for it. They're going to be motivated, but that's their path to success. I don't think this game is going to be decided with Drew Aller. I really pray it won't have to either. Hopefully they could just run the ball, and that's a path to running. If they could run the ball successfully, get enough points on the board, I really think 24 points wins this game. I don't think they need this crazy offensive performance, but they need to be able to run the ball, chew the clock, get those big 12-yard runs, some explosive plays, just something to give the crowd to a little bit of juice. I mean, that really does help. I've seen it firsthand how that can impact the game. So need to be able to run the ball. Defense, if they could have a couple big plays. I know it's you're not going to be able to shut out this offense, but going to be great. And on the other side, on the Oregon side, huge opportunity for them. I mean, if they do come in there, get the win, Dante Moore, they'll probably be solidified as number one or number two. I guess you have Ohio State there, but it's going to be probably those two if they do get the win. So that'll be something to watch as well on the Oregon side.
Yeah, it's a big prove-it game, like you said, for Dante Moore. We didn't even bring him up, but people are now talking, he could be the first quarterback taken. Like, I'm just not there yet with him. I really want to see it against a tough environment. So really going to find out a lot here. And lastly, Case, if they pan to James Franklin, he's holding a clipboard or holding the call sheet, I'm not going to feel confident about my Penn State pick. I need just the headset, no clipboard, no calling plays, no fourth down decisions. Just let your coordinators do the work here, James. Hopefully he listens to this. We'll see. But going to be an awesome, awesome game. It's going to be electric.
I'm sure he's listening, James Franklin. I hope he is at least taking notes here. No, it'll be a fun game. And hey, worst case, at least I get 8 hours of great tailgating. College game day is going to be there. Should be a great Saturday. Hopefully it all pans out for Penn State, but I'm not sold by any means there yet. I've seen this script enough times, so I've seen it a million times. Not sure I can remember really ever panning out in these situations. So keep that in mind. All right. Well, I know we're going a little long here on this one, already approaching out. We'll try to wrap this up a little quicker, maybe, less than 10 minutes. Picks of the week, preliminary picks of the week. Mr. Paisley, what are some of your thoughts here on your favorite plays here?
Yeah, we'll just touch on some of these games. Got a couple plays here Friday night, so try and get these in. We'll go quickly here. I just like TCU +3 on the road at Arizona State. I just think they're the better team. I was on Arizona State last week. They were a little sketchy against that Baylor defense. I didn't really love what I saw from that offense of Arizona State. I just think TCU is a little more complete. They're on the road going to Arizona State here, but I just think the 3 is too much, so I'll take the points, maybe a little sprinkle on the money line on a Friday night.
Yeah, that's a great play, and I was actually going to pick that too. I already saw you had it slotted in, so I didn't take him, but I love TCU. I think they'll win this game also, like on Friday night. I like them a lot in this spot. Total agreement there. And I got a Friday night game as well. I'm riding with the Seminoles here, -7 at Virginia. It's actually, I see that's only 6.5 on some sports books right now. This is one I was questioning because I feel like it should be more, should be 9.5, 10.5. I think they're better. Virginia really hasn't done enough to impress me. I'm getting a little bit higher, I think, on Florida State than some people. I think they're really good. I was trying to talk myself out of it. Maybe I want the upset. It's a weird situation. It's a Friday night game. I just think the spread is being impacted by some of those factors a little bit too much. I think Florida State should be a little bit more of a favorite here. Get it at 6.5 if you could, but even if not, I'll take him at -7.
Yeah, that's a fun little game too. We got the TCU game, got the Florida State game, some interesting matchups. I do like the over in that game. I didn't put it as an official play down here, but I do like the over. I think it's 59. It's kind of on the rise. There's going to be a ton of points in that game, so I like a little fun Friday action there. My second official play, going to go UL Monroe money line. This is about a pick 'em -110 against Arkansas State. Just kind of buying the UL Monroe Warhawks here a little bit. They look good. Last week I was fading them, and they beat me outright against UTEP as about 6-7 point underdog. So I think they're a good team. They can run the ball a little bit. Arkansas State played a really tough schedule. They're kind of a little banged up. I do like Arkansas State's offense, but their defense is not that good. So I think UL Monroe, just really surprised when it was around to pick them. I thought it'd be closer like 3-4. So again, just feel like there's a little bit of value here, a little short. So give me the UL Monroe money line here on Saturday.
Oh yeah, that's a fun play. Definitely not on my radar there. So definitely keep a note of that. I'm going to go Tennessee -7.5 here is my next play. They're on the road in Starkville, Mississippi State. Mississippi State got the huge win, of course, over Arizona State a couple weeks ago. I think they're better. I think they're decent, but I just don't think this is enough points. Once again, I think Tennessee's, they had a good showing against Georgia offensively, 44-41. They really could have won that game. I mean, should have won that game, missed field goal. I know they got on the road. On the road here, I know Mississippi State has been a little bit better. But once again, I just don't think that's enough of points. I think Tennessee will find a way to pull away here. So give me the Volunteers -7.5.
I do like that one too. That's a sneaky one. Some of these lines, like we're already in week 5, but it's like I just don't get some of these numbers. A lot of respect for Mississippi State, but you're right. I really like this Tennessee offense. I think they're going to put up as many points as they want. So I do think that number is a little short there. I do like that -7.5. I'm going to go to FAU, the Owls at home +14. This little spot play. They're playing Memphis off of Memphis's big win against Arkansas. Now they got to travel on the road to FAU. Just feel like this number is just a little bit too high for the spot. I think Memphis is going to be a little hungover coming into this spot after their maybe biggest win in program history, beating an SEC team. FAU has been quietly getting better. They had that really bad week 1 game against Maryland, but their offense is electric. They're going to put up a lot of points. Also like the over in this game too. I think it's 62, 63. But I think they're going to match score for score with Memphis here. So I just think 14 is a little bit too much. Maybe a little flirt with an outright upset, but I do like FAU here to keep this one close. Maybe my favorite underdog here, +14.
That would be a big one. I like the pick, a little under the radar. And, I did notice there were actually a ton of upsets last week. I don't know if you looked at all the results, like a lot of teams like this, like that were +10 or more, like not crazy, but between +10 and 14, a lot of these or group of 5 teams, there was a lot of weird results last week. I was kind of going through them the other day. So yeah, that's going to be a good one to keep on your radar. My third one here, I'm going to go UCF +5.5 against Kansas State. This is pretty much a sell on Kansas State. UCF got the win over North Carolina. They look pretty good. I'm not, high on UCF by any means, but selling all my Kansas State stock. I think UCF might win this game. So actually, I think they will win this game. UCF +5.5. I'll take them with the points.
Yep, this was another one. I was like, I don't know why Kansas State is getting this much respect still. Like UCF's not that great, but they look really good against North Carolina. We faded them last week, and they definitely look a little bit better. So yeah, just feel like this should be around a pick 'em 2-3 points. It was actually close to 7, so now it's coming down a little bit. So I also stamped that approval of that play there. Last play here, I'm going to go App State +15.5. Just think they're going on the road to Boise here. App State, a little under the radar team. I didn't think they were going to be that good coming into the year. People were selling them. But they're actually starting to play some good ball. They have a new coaching staff, new quarterback that they brought in. So they're starting to play a little bit better. Again, another little spot play. I like to just go the week-by-week spots. Boise State has Notre Dame on deck next week. They just came off of a back-and-forth Air Force game that I was watching closely last week. That was a fun game, but was not impressed with the Boise State defense. Their defense let up a ton of points and a ton of yards. Air Force was passing the ball all over them, which is not something Air Force does very well. So I think the Boise State defense has a lot of problems. Their offense is still good, not as elite as it was last year with Genty in that run game. But again, I just feel like it was up to 17. Now it's down to 15.5. I just feel like it's a little bit too many points over 2 touchdowns here. With these defenses that can't really get stops, it's hard to really win by a lot of margin unless your offense just explodes. So I feel like App State could keep up a little bit. They've been kind of flying under the radar a little bit. Just feel like this should be closer to like 10, 11. So I'll definitely take a +2 touchdowns, starting to come down a little bit. I grabbed it at 17. So I like the App State Mountaineers here to go on the road and keep it close and a good spot game too for them.
I love it. My favorite Mountaineer team, Appalachian State. And that's a lot of points, 15.5 for sure. That's a lot of points against anybody. So definitely like him that spot too. Another under the radar game. All right. It is now everybody's favorite time of the podcast. So appreciate all the listeners out there once again. YouTube, if you're watching, subscribe. If you're on Twitter, retweet us, comment. We really do appreciate it. Give us feedback, even if it's negative, which happens at times, or have some controversial picks. Feel free to let us hear it. Underdog parlay of the week. Paisley, we've done pretty good successfully so far this season. Missed on Nebraska a week ago, but of course that was going to happen. Interested to see what's your pick here?
Yeah, this has been hot. We picked 6 picks total. I think we were 5 out of 6. So a lot of winners here. We're hoping to get a bounce back. We got a nice juicy one this week if you like some big plus money. My leg here, I'm going to throw Cal plus 180 going on the road cross country to Boston College. They're about 6.5 point underdogs. I just think the line's a little too high, and I actually do like them to win outright. I do think Cal had a stinker last week. Was also watching that game late at night against San Diego State. 35-0. It was just a very confusing. San Diego State's a little down this year, and they just put the brakes on them. So I think Cal bounces back here. They had a really good start to the year, and then I don't know what happened last game. They couldn't really get the offense going. Defense looked okay, but they just let up some late scores there. So a little misleading final, but they have a really talented quarterback. They're going on the road to BC, which I love BC's offense, love their quarterback too. Also, a little plug for the over. Again, if you like overs this week, ton of overs, a bit 51.5. So do like the over in this one, but I think it's going to be back and forth. But I do think Cal, with a little pissed off after last week, I think they get it done against a Boston College team that does not have a good defense. They let up a ton of points. Michigan State went up and down against them in that game. So I think Cal bounces back here, and I think they win outright as close to a touchdown underdog.
Love it. Big upset there at plus 180, going Cal outright. And then I already hinted mine, so won't go over it again. But I'm going to take Central Florida in this underdog parlay of the week to go in on the road and just beat Kansas State outright. Paisley, what are our total underdog odds here?
Yeah, if you use it at our unofficial sponsor, DraftKings, plus 726. So $10 bet wins over $70 if that's what you want to use as your unit, or any higher or lower. But let's hit it again. Let's get another big money line parlay.
I love it. All right, everybody. We will see you back Sunday night, I guess, recapping all the big games. Hopefully we get a Penn State win, but not sold on it yet. Thank you for watching.